right. Can you talk to me, please?
Been testing. I'm excited. Testing, testing. You'll never guess what I've been playing this week is.
I will never guess it, even though it's on the notes.
Wait, what? Oh no, no, no. That's not on the notes.
Oh, did you change
You'll
it?
see.
You'll see. Okay, okay. Anyway, welcome back to the Game Slash Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Swim Liberty, and with me is.
Oh, as Muhammad Yusuf.
And today we got some stuff. We got PlayStation Plus and Games with Gold. We got Overwatch patch and a little bit of BlizzCon news. And we've
Oh
got
no, 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 no. BlizzCon news. It's BlizzCon's next week.
BlizzCon's next week. All right, so scratch what I just said. BlizzCon didn't happen, according to Flaws. BlizzCon just didn't happen. We are going to talk about the patch, but what we are going to talk about is we're going to talk about that other big thing that happened was Paris Games Week. A whole
Yeah, exactly.
crap ton of stuff got announced. It was pretty cool. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we played this week. So, yeah, I know. I know. I'm aware. I'm aware. I am very much aware. Okay, so I played a little bit of Overwatch, played a little bit of, Link to the Past, so on and so forth. But, like I said last podcast,
Did you beat that boss?
Sorry? Oh yeah,
The
I beat the boss. That was bullshit. It took me a couple tries, but I beat it. It took me a while. But what I talked about last week was I said I was going to look at this really weird. Everyone was talking about it on Reddit. Doki Doki Literature Club, right?
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
it's the visual novel game that I was talking about last week, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So currently, my favorite games of the year are Zelda Breath of the Wild, Persona 5, and Toki Toki Literature Club.
I saw that coming.
Yeah, I really like this game a lot. I really, really, really like this game a lot. And the problem is about talking about this game is that
Spoilers.
it's spoilers. Like I can't talk about it. It's the same problem with Undertale. If I go into detail as to why I like this game so much, it spoils part of the experience. But what I can say is that this game really I'm going to make a little bit of a spoiler, which I did make in the last podcast. But to be fair, it's introduced immediately in the beginning of the game. So I'll explain it very briefly. So if you don't want to hear about that, then leave and come back in like 2 minutes. Okay. So when you download the game, the first thing it says is that beware of disturbing content. If you are scared easily, this might not be the game for you. Right? So I'm like, and then it cuts to like cutesy anime characters going like, all in their happy poses and whatnot, and it's playing to the expectations of like, okay, there's the tsundere character, there's the best friend next door character, there's the silent mysterious girl, right? And it's playing on those tropes. Very.
What's the first thing you said? Sundere character?
Tsundere. Do you know what that means, or do I have
No.
to? Tsundere basically it's the very famous, like, it's not like I like you or anything. You know those kind of characters, the characters
Yeah.
that pretend not to like you but they actually really really like you.
How do you spell that?
Sorry, it's TS.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah. Anyway, but basically, it plays on those particular tropes. And what I was really surprised about is that it takes its time. Right away, you're like, okay, something's up. Something about this game is weird, and you're reading a bunch of lines that make you go, right? And they're interspliced with all the silly anime cliches, right?
Yeah.
And occasionally you'll get this line that makes you go, oh, And I was shocked when I got to a particular point in the game where it was incredibly relatable, and
Oh.
it was a character's struggle was surprise. It hit me really hard. It
Oh.
hit me really really, really hard, and I was just not expecting it. And especially since I was like, okay, this is one of those games where it's going to trick you into thinking that you're safe. It's a dumb anime game, and then the scares are going to happen, right? So I was not expecting to have like an emotional moment in this game. So I was caught completely off guard when that cutscene happened. And then, when the game is ready to play its cards, oh boy, does it play its cards. And it had. Remember, we were talking about scary moments in video games?
Yeah.
I had a pretty horrifying moment in this video game that I had to stop playing and just calm down for a couple minutes. And it's it has to do, and it's very interesting because Undertale and this game both have a very particular moment that made me go, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So,
Suck it up, man.
dude, I can't
You'll know what
I can't tell you what the game does, but that particular thing that the game does freaks me out. It freaks me out, and I can't tell you because it's a massive spoiler. So, anyway, it's a free game at the moment. I highly recommend, if those who want to check it out, that you do check it out. It's really, really good. The writing is surprisingly strong. It is surprisingly strong. I mean, if you're the kind of person who you don't see yourself being able to even remotely play a visual novel like this type of game, then it might not be for you. But I would say if you're interested, persevere. Especially for the first couple hours, because the first couple hours are meant to kind of. This is something that I wanted to talk a little bit more about when we're talking about horror games. I like it when the horror takes its time. One of the things that I find extremely annoying about horror games,
So it's a horror game?
Yes, it is. It's a horror game.
That game with the pink haired characters. It's a horror game.
Yes, it is. It very much is.
Okay.
And that's why I'm saying people should definitely take a look. Now, back to what I was saying, is that the reason why I like this game's horror and how it does it is that one of the big things that other horror games do that kind of annoys me is, like, think of like Outlast or Dead Space or whatever, is that it's like 20 minutes or 10 minutes before, oh, here comes all the spookiness, right? Here comes all the scares, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not in a normal setting. So you're already prepared to deal with the scares, right? The fact that this game takes its time severely. Like, the horrors don't pop up. Like, it takes a couple hours before anything really scary happens. And I have to applaud it for that, because when the scares happen, they are way more effective because of the wait. It's not like 10 minutes in and boom, here's a bunch of scary shit, right? It takes its time. It's patient. And I have to really applaud the game for that, because I can't think of many horror games that take that much time to show off their horror, you know? It's kind of like when you rewatch Alien and you realize you don't see the alien until like 40 minutes into the movie. Right?
Spoiler alert.
It's not, well, yeah.
I'm kidding.
It's a movie from the 70s or 80s.
I'm kidding.
I know. But anyway, I recommend that anyone who is remotely interested in this play this game. It's free, so you literally don't have to pay anything to play it. It's on Steam. You can download it officially from the site as well. There are very interesting things about different versions of this game, depending on where you download it from the website or from Steam, and that's all I'll say about that. But yeah, definitely check this game out if you're even remotely interested. But that's what I played this week. What about you, Fawaz?
Okay, so before we started recording, I told Tanner that he's never going to guess what I played this week.
All right.
I'm honestly, because I'm gonna give you. If I give you one hint, you're probably gonna be able to tell. But so it's a game that I used to play, but don't really play anymore. I decided to give it another go. Do you want to take a guess?
Is it Street Fighter V?
No.
Is it It's a game that you. Is it a game that you've talked about not liking on this podcast?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of other games that really piss you off. Well, because it's like, well, the other one you've been talking about is Marvel, right?
No, it's not Marvel.
It's not Marvel, and it's not Street Fighter V. What are other games that you?
It's an oldie.
It's an oldie. How old are we talking? Are we talking?
We're talking like early podcasts.
Early podcasts? Oh, wait a minute. GTA 5?
Hearthstone.
Oh, I went way early. I went way too early. So you went back into Hearthstone. Okay.
Yep. I was just sitting around the house with nothing to do, so I was like, well, it's free. Okay, so pretty much how it was like, occasionally I'll check out the Hearthstone on Twitch to see if there's any. Because here's the thing. I rant about what's that stupid card called, Yorkshire Run. But the real reason why I stopped playing Hearthstone was because all the decks I liked playing got removed from the game. Right. Literally every deck I liked playing got removed from the game, right? So there was there wasn't anything interesting for me to play. So I was like, okay, let me just check these streams, see if anyone's playing anything cool. And then I saw this Zoo deck that was pretty cool. It's because the old Zoo deck was very, very aggressive. A lot of cheap minions and a lot of buffs to make your cheap minions, buff your cheap minions up to do favorable trades. This one's a lot slower. Uses a lot of slower minions. It's even a 10 mana card. The new what's that thing called? Death Knight. Because they added the new Death Knights where every single hero gets like an evil version of their hero.
Right.
Yeah. So it's the evil, the more evil version of
Warrior.
Of what's his name, the warlock.
Gul'dan.
Yeah, so I played that, and it's fun. It's fun. I played a couple. Honestly, the worst part about it is because I recorded some videos, right? So by the time people listen to this podcast, they would have already seen the videos. So the surprise is kind of gone there. To the point where I might hold off on posting those videos until after this podcast
gets aired. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it was it was fun. I don't know how long this is going to last. But yeah, I played that a bit. The weird thing is that because I haven't played for so long, so I have 9,000 dust, right? So I crafted the whole deck. However, there were two. I mean, it's you have 9,000 dust. You can practically craft anything.
Pretty much, yeah.
However, what's really funny is that there were two cards that I need to complete the deck, but the two cards are in the One Night in Karazhan expansion, right?
Right.
And those cost gold.
Yeah.
And I have no gold, because I don't play the game anymore, right? So I literally have no gold. I had 200 gold, so I've just been trying to do my quest to get enough gold to unlock it. And here's the best part. Okay, so not only is it in that adventure, it's on the last floor of the adventure. So I have to get 2,100 gold to be able to unlock just two cards. It's these 1/3 demons that whenever you discard a card, you draw another card. Yeah, so they help you cycle with your Soulfires and your Doom Guards. But yeah, so I've been messing around with that, and then I'm I'm back in Hearthstone, so I've been doing research to see if there's any other decks that I would like to. There's one deck, Jade Druid. I always heard about it, but I never looked it up because I didn't play Hearthstone. But I looked it up, and I thought it was an aggressive deck. That was another reason why I never looked it up. But it's actually it's okay. So here's the thing. There are these cards called Jade Golems, right?
Right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. When you have a bunch of cards that can summon them, right? Every time you summon a Jade Golem, their strength goes up by 1. So the first time you summon a Jade Golem, it's a 1/1, then a 2/2, then a 3/3, then a 4/4. So this whole deck, it's got a bunch of. It's got this one card, Jade Idol. It's a 1 mana card. You play it, and you have 2 options because that's always been Drew's thing, right? You can either summon a Jade Golem, or you can shuffle 3 copies of this card into your deck. So you can never get milled with this You can never run out of cards with this deck.
Okay.
First of all,
That's pretty good.
yeah, because you can just play these cards and they just keep shuffling more of them back into your deck, and then then you have a bunch of cards and creatures that summon Jade Golems when you play them. So yeah, I'm watching games. The biggest I've seen them get is 9/9, but they can grow up to 30/30.
Right.
If the game ever went on that long.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But yeah, it's a pretty cool deck. It's a little more expensive. I think I have just about enough dust to craft it, but I think if I craft it, I'll be completely out of dust, which, out of dust, not of gold means I'm going to start spending money, and I'm like, ha, 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 no.
No. But somehow, Fawaz is back in. He's back in, boys.
Like I said, we'll see how long this lasts. It's probably gonna last until January, or it's probably gonna last until January. Because right now, this is always a tough spot. This always happens when a game I'm really looking forward to is just about to come out. I fall into this period where I don't have anything to play, but I can't buy anything because I know that in like a month there's a game that I really want to play that's coming out.
Yeah.
Then because so my
that was March this year for me. That was a fucking disaster on my wallet.
Yeah, so then on the other hand, my school is on strike, right? So I have a lot more free time, which is why I was sitting around the house looking for stuff to play. But then I don't know how long the school is going to be on strike for, so I'm like, okay, let's not start playing Persona 4 again. Also Persona 5 again.
Yeah, because you might be just getting to like a really cool plot point. And you're like, oh, this is really good, and it's like, strike's over, boys, and it's like,
exactly. And then I'm back in school, and when I'm in school, like I'm in school the whole day, right? So
Yeah.
And then or like I'm in school the whole morning, and then I work the evenings. So I'm like, okay, let's not get back into Persona 5. That's one reason why Overwatch has always been such a good game for me, because I can just play it.
Yeah.
And then if school gets busy, I just don't play it. There's no story progression or anything like that. But in Persona, if I, you know how Persona is. There's that vortex. Once you get into that vortex, man,
Yeah.
like it's, and then this isn't golden that I could just play on the bus on my way to school or on my way to work.
Yeah.
I gotta be at home to play this. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna touch Persona. But then I don't want to buy any new games because like Dragon Ball and Monster Hunter are coming out in January, and I'm like, that's already a lot of money right there. Plus,
I'm so excited. I'm so excited that you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be getting Monster Hunter World. I'm so excited. It just fills me with joy that somehow I've been able to get Fawaz to buy Monster Hunter.
But yeah, we've got a lot of stuff to cover this week, so I'm gonna stop blabbing about what I played this week, and I'm just gonna segue right into the news.
Okay.
So first things first, PlayStation Plus, they announced the games of the month for November. They are not great. It's like Bound, which ironically enough is this like it's like a ballet platformer made by the dudes that made God of War. So that made me laugh when I found that out.
Oh, I know about Bound. Yeah, I know about Bound. It's a very, very beautiful like kind of VR. Is it the VR version, I think?
No, I think it's just a regular version.
Oh, okay. It's a very, very beautiful art game, but like if that's not something that even remotely interests you, it's kind of boring from what I've heard. So, what's the other game again?
So the other game is Worms Battleground. Yo, I used to be crazy about Worms back in the day. So, like normally I would download this and give it a shot, but, my PlayStation Plus has expired. So if I'm renewing for something that I'm actually excited for. I'm not excited for either of these games. Then the other games, the two PS3 games are R-Type Dimensions, Ragdoll Kung Fu. Then we have Dungeon Punks for this thing called Evita. I've never heard of this thing.
Never heard.
Broken Sword 5, The Serpent's Curse, Episode 1 and 2. Then, additionally, Sony is celebrating the PlayStation VR's 1-year anniversary by giving PlayStation Plus subscribers a bonus free title, The Hunting Roller Coaster Ride Until Dawn: Rush of Blood.
Granted, I've heard Rush of Blood is pretty good for a VR title, like overall.
Yeah,
it's one of the better ones. So that's kind of nice. But like it's. I mean, like last month was a lot better overall.
Yeah.
And this month is kind of just nah. Like even for me, like to be fair, Worms is a good game. It's a really good party game. So if you like, hey, I just want a party game that I can pull out, and we can just get drunk and play. it's really fun. So the fact that that's free for the month is great, but like I said, like we've already said this to pretty much every time this comes up. It's like we need bigger titles. Like there are bigger titles. You know, it'd be nice. I know it's a little too early, but like, actually, you know what? No, I don't think it's too early. I think Uncharted 4 should probably be. I think Uncharted.
Oh, I would definitely check that out.
Yeah, I would say Uncharted 4 should probably, or hell, like maybe even like, well, was Infamous Second Son ever on?
No, First Light was on.
First Light was on. I don't know, maybe some of those earlier titles, like hell, maybe even Killzone. I download Killzone Shadowfall.
I think it's too late for Killzone now. To be honest, like I would download it, but I would never play it. So,
I'm aware, but like I just some of the bigger, more money in the titles. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you. The other thing, so games with gold also announced. Theirs are not so great either. Trackmania Turbo,
Okay.
Tales from the Borderland,
Ooh, okay.
Nights into Dreams, and Deadfall Adventure. So yeah, not a great month. Not a great month. Either way.
Yeah, I will say Tales of the Borderlands is probably one of the better Telltale games that they've ever released. I would put it probably. I know. We all know.
I was just about to say yes. I've heard good things about Tales from the Borderland, so there is that. But other than that, this is not overall a great month for either. Nothing really big.
Nothing really big.
Yeah, because like I said, we'll get into this in a little bit later with some interesting Monster Hunter news, but. But yeah, I was planning on renewing my PlayStation Plus in December because of the Overwatch Christmas event.
Yeah.
I was like, I miss Halloween. I'm not going to miss Christmas. And then I was like, okay, maybe PlayStation Plus in November will change my mind. No, it hasn't.
No. Well, I will have all these super cool Christmas costumes, and I'll just emote in front of you.
So, speaking of Overwatch, we got a patch. So, remember when we talked about Mercy? And we were like that Mercy is a problem, and she's probably overpowered. So she's overpowered. So Blizzard have been trying to fix her.
Right.
They made a couple of changes, but this right here is the big. A lot of like tweaks around the corner, but this right here is the biggest tweak. So first of all, we'll talk about a small thing that they did. They buffed Ana. They increased her biotic rifle damage from 60 to 70. This is something Ana players have been bitching about for ever since she got nerfed, ever since she lost her damage on her rifle. They've been like, bring back the damage. I'm really excited to see what Ana played about now that she got the damage back. So they just gave her back the damage, so now she can what? 2-shot? No. She can 3-shot Pharahs. And she can. That's it, pretty much. Because 70-70 is still 140, so she can't 2-shot. She can't 2-shot Tracer, but whatever. They got the 70 damage back, so I look forward to having other threads complaining about Ana. But the big one is Mercy.
Okay.
So Blizzard said that overall they've been happy with the rework, but they don't like how Resurrect is right now. And Jeff said something about how like when they designed Mercy, they wanted to design her around mobility and healing, but from day one, she's been a res bot. That's always been her strongest ability, and so that's what people have always picked her for. So they nerfed the shit out of Resurrect. The cast time has been increased from instantaneous to 1.75 seconds. Now, you're sitting there like 1.75 seconds isn't that long.
Well, I would say, that is long.
Yes,
because it is. As a Mercy player, I think that needs to be reduced to 1, not 1.7, because
we haven't even gotten to the bad part.
Oh, what's the actual bad part?
Movement speed is now reduced by 75% while casting. So you are literally a sitting duck while you're casting for 1.75 seconds. And wait, it gets better.
Oh, it does?
You cannot be interrupted when Mercy is knocked back, stunned, or hacked.
Okay, that's a little too much. Like, putting the cast time on it, like, I can understand that, and maybe the number can be adjusted, but the fact of the matter, one of the biggest weaknesses to Mercy, and regardless of whether you think she's overpowered or not, one of the biggest weaknesses to Mercy is the fact that she is very easily targeted and zeroed out when you're playing against a smart team. If you're playing against a smart team, they just pile on the Mercy, and her mobility is her only escape. So now I'm seeing the issue where they may have gone overboard with this. I don't know. I'll have to test it out. Regardless, I'm going to be playing her. Like, I do not care. I will never stop playing Mercy, regardless. But that, I think, might be a little too extreme, personally. But I haven't got to test it out yet. I think
they also added a couple things. They added a buff to. Well, it's not really a buff to Valkyrie. It's just when Valkyrie is activated, Resurrection no longer has a cast time. While active, casting Resurrection does not reduce Mercy's movement speed. So in Valkyrie, you'll get the old res.
Okay, so I'm seeing their design philosophy around this. What they want is that they want it so that you are able to play her really powerfully when Valkyrie is up. Her mobility is pretty much her mobility in her ultimate form and so on and so forth. But it seems like what they're trying to do is they're trying to reduce her in her normal state so that she's just not consistently too strong, which I can kind of understand, because one of the biggest things about the reason why Mercy is really strong right now is because, yeah, she can fly across the map, she can heal people really quickly, she can still relatively get her ultimate up pretty quickly. And the fact that she is just the ultimate sustain. There is no other support that can keep the fights going like Mercy. And especially on defense maps. Defense maps, she's a freaking god.
Yeah, and the other issue is that unlike when Ana was completely overpowered, Mercy is a lot easier to play than Ana, which is why Mercy, like when Ana was overpowered, she wasn't popular on consoles because she was still really difficult to play. Mercy has always been very popular. Mercy will always be very popular because the barrier of entry to playing her is not as hard as like an Ana or a Zenyatta. Yeah. Right?
Exactly.
So when you pair the fact that she's really easy to play with her being very good, then she becomes literally the most popular hero in the game. I think for the most so that's the other thing that they're trying to fix right now. With that said, and with my original claim that I think Mercy is currently overpowered, yeah, like when I saw this, I was like, rip Mercy, like seriously, 70. Because when I read it, I was like, okay. Then I saw footage of it. She's so slow while Resi, you're gonna get hooked. You're gonna get hooked, flashbanged, headshots, hacked.
I think their mentality is that
punched by Doomfist.
Yeah, punched by Doomfist. I think their mentality is that they want it so that you have to have coordination with your team, so your team has to be protecting you for you to continue your sustain abilities. But at the same time, if you're playing with a team that is running around all over the place, like that's the biggest thing as a Mercy player, is that it is so annoying when you have a team that is super spread out, because you have no one to defend yourself. And now, the fact that you have no mobility to make it at least somewhat difficult for them to fire on you, you are going to have to rely on your team to protect you a lot more than you ever have. And I think 70% is way too much. I think maybe 40% or something like half that would be like a good compromise.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
The main thing they're trying to do is they're trying to stop, because Mercy can do, because like right now Mercy is like the old Zarya, right? The reason why the old Zarya, like when the game launched, the reason why Zarya was one of the best heroes for climbing ladder was because she erased teammates' mistakes. It didn't matter how stupid your Reinhardt was, if you just bubbled him, you could like not only save him from his own stupidity, but you'd also be getting 50 energy for it.
Right.
And with Zarya, with 50 energy, did more damage than a lot of DPSs, right? The same thing with like your Mercy or your Ana, because I had this one stupid Ana that kept walking in front of Reinhardt's shield. I digress.
Yeah.
Zarya erased teammates' mistakes. That was what made her so good at climbing ladder, was that sometimes she was stronger when you had stupid teammates, right?
Yeah.
Like I played with Reinhardt who just his charge button taped down. He had it, once it came off cooldown, he charged in. I was at 100 energy that whole game because this idiot just kept charging in. Right? Yeah. So it's the same thing. Mercy, one of the things that makes Mercy really good right now is that she's very good at erasing teammates' mistakes. You have a McCree that tries to do a stupid flank, gets caught out and killed. You can swoop in, res, swoop back out, no problem. Well, for the most part.
Well, for the
right
most part,
now,
because I was
that-
gonna say, like, one of the things is that even though Rez is very strong, like, there are still bad Rezes. Like, you can fly in and Rez that McCree, but that McCree, if he doesn't have a plan to get the fuck out of Dodge, he's gonna die anyway, and then your Rez is pretty much pointless. So there still is a level of strategy to Mercy's Rez, even though it's still powerful. You still have to play it relatively smart. It's just the casting time I could see, like, okay, sure, but like if they're going to reduce her, like, I don't know, like how like I said, if like they're gonna reduce her mobility and her casting time, she's gotta have something to help her stay alive, because as a Mercy player, you are constantly under fire from everything known to man. So I don't know if they're just banking on the fact that you're gonna be using Valkyrie a lot more. Like, I don't know. We'll have to see. Hopefully it maybe some of those numbers will get tweaked a little bit before it goes officially live. But yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
So, do you?
I mean,
Sorry, do you have anything else to say? Sorry.
Yeah. Just the last bit. Like when they announced the rework, and I said this with every rework, right?
Right.
I said this with Bastion rework, is that like on paper, like this, I think this is the direction you're going with Mercy is the right direction. There's going to be growing pains, you know, like right now she's too strong. If this patch hits, she might become too weak, right? But then you're learning, and that's this is balance. This is how balancing a game works. And sure, it's frustrating. It can be frustrating for us because we have to play the game in its imbalanced state. But at the end of the day, like if the developer knew exactly how to fix all the characters, well, they would have fixed all the characters out the gate, right? So like they're gonna try this. If she ends up being too weak, then they'll tweak the numbers a little bit. If she ends up being too strong, they'll tone them down, and that's just how these things go, So at the end of the day, I do think that at the very least, she's more engaging. She's more fun to watch. Like I'll say that much. I'm probably never going to play her, but she's more fun to watch now. I hate her ultimate, like with all my heart. I hate that. I hate it. But at the very least, even her ultimate, I feel, is more of an engaging. It allows for more clutch plays. It allows for the Mercy to do more stuff. Like you can pop your ultimate to heal a bunch of people. You can pop your ultimate to rest some people, but you can pop your ultimate to kill somebody, right?
Yeah.
So
her ultimate, like I still like. I still like the versatility of her ultimate in this, because before the problem was her ultimate was just like, all right, we fucked up, fly in and fix the mistake. Like that was a lot of the times that was pretty much what you were doing with Rez. So like I said, we'll have to see how it goes, but yeah, there are probably going to be some tweaks, hopefully, but we'll see. We shall see. But there was another thing that happened this week.
Paris Games Week.
Paris Games Week. So, what do we want to talk about? Because there's a bunch of stuff that they show.
Okay, so we'll just do it in no particular order, right?
Okay.
I was trying to take notes watching the press conference, but whatever. Long story short, this is in no particular order. First of all, they had a we'll start off with the pre-game show. They had a pre-game show where they announced a couple of indie games. They announced Hong Kong on Fire or something like that.
Hong Kong Massacre. It's Hong Kong Massacre. Yeah.
Hong Kong Massacre. Yeah, some top-down shooter, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. The other thing that they announced, the big thing that they announced, and the game of the show for me, was Guacamelee 2. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, I love me some Guacamelee. That was one of the first videos I made for the channel. The guide on how to get like the true ending of Guacamelee.
Yep.
I love that game. That game is so much fun. I am in there. And these developers, they know what's up because they announced this game is coming to the PS4. It is not coming to the Vita. Because they're like, Vita? The fuck is that?
Well, honestly, they know. The funny thing, you make that joke, but it's like they made Guacamelee and they went, Vita, let's try that out. And then they released Severed, and Severed was a good game, but nobody was playing on the Vita, so Severed didn't go anywhere. So basically they went, well, that didn't work, so fuck the Vita, we're back on the PS4 with Guacamelee 2.
No, the first Guacamelee did come out on the Vita.
It did?
Yeah, that's why I played it originally on the Vita.
Oh,
it came out on the PlayStation
okay.
3 and Vita originally, ported to Windows, and then like every other console. Then they made Severed exclusively for the Vita, and then they were like, So
Yeah.
now they're making Guacamelee
Yeah.
2 for the PlayStation 4. But knowing their history, this is probably going to get ported to a bunch of different
Things. Yeah.
platforms afterwards. I don't care. I'm excited for Guacamelee 2. But honestly speaking, okay, I was exaggerating when I said my game of the show. Honestly speaking, Tony, the first thing that I want to talk about is this new IP from Sucker Punch, Ghosts of Tetsuma.
Yeah.
I pronounced that completely wrong. Ghosts of Tetsuma, whatever, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
This game looks dope. This game
dope.
looks dope. I don't know if I ever mentioned on the podcast, but I have thought that there are not a lot of open world games set in feudal Japan, and I've never understood why. Like, okay, I think I know why, because the Japanese don't make a lot of open world games. No, that's not even true.
Well, it's not. I don't know if it's just like. I don't know if it's just because there's a lot of RPGs, but they're all like magical or fantasy like, like in elements that have like sort of like there's a lot of games that do that, but there's not like just a very hard line feudal Japan open world kind of game, and like I don't know why that is. It is weird. It's weird in the sense. I will say this about this trailer. What I really like how this trailer was like structured. How it just showed like just shots of the landscape, the people living their lives, the samurai sharpening his sword, the chaos in the village. It was very calm. It was very serene, and I really, really, really like that because that makes me think of like classic like Japanese movies where it's just like this very long stretches of silence and just the sounds of like nature in the distance. Like that's really, really exciting for me to see.
Yeah. So it's an open world stealth game set in feudal Japan, and like I kid you not when I say literally every word that I just said gets me excited about this game.
Yeah.
The one thing, I'm just gonna touch on this very quickly. The one thing that kind of worries me is that like Infamous is open worlds. Okay, I played the first Infamous and I played First Light. I never played Infamous 2 or 3.
Okay.
But Infamous 1 and Infamous First Light, their open worlds were very, very boring. Like, very boring. So, that's the one thing that kind of worries me. But then, like, even with that said, that's like a minor thing. And I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. Because this game looks amazing.
2, I played a lot of Infamous 2. And I liked the setting of Infamous 2. But I do get what you're saying in the sense where it was... I think part of the thing... Like, it was fun to explore. Like, I was never bored exploring, like, going from, like, like, the shitty streets to the graveyard to the shanty town. I think it was a lot better in Infamous 2 because there were different color palettes in different parts of the city. So there was, like, an orangey color district. There was, like, the gray district. There was the very high techno district. So there was a little bit more variety. But I do get what you're saying where the Infamous games... Because of the setting, it kind of limited their creativity, at least in that regard. So I get what you're saying where it's boring, which this has me excited because if they're gonna go with feudal Japan, there's a lot of cool, interesting like locales that you could just take.
I just saw that bamboo forest and I was like, man, I might actually just buy this game right now. Go out and send Sucker Punch my money. Just like mail it to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I do think it's going to be different with this game because I feel like part of the reason why Infamous open world was boring was because you were a superhero, so you didn't interact with the world. Like you could like jump on buildings and all that stuff, but the world itself you didn't interact with it much. You didn't feel like you were living in Seattle or whatever the city was. You couldn't like take a cab. You couldn't go like play poker. You couldn't go like buy outfits. All the stuff that you do in like a Grand Theft Auto that makes you feel like you're part of that New York City or San Andreas. You couldn't do that stuff because you're a superhero.
Yeah.
However, in this, you're just a samurai. Well, like a samurai who's changing his like methods to become more of a ninja or something like that. I don't know. We haven't seen.
Well, like some people are saying that he could literally just be like a man who everyone thought was dead but survived and came back as a ghost kind of deal. That's why it's called Ghost of Tetsuma. So honestly, definitely looks cool. I'm glad to see I'm glad to see Sucker Punch finally working on something different.
I'm so happy. If they had announced like Infamous 4 or 5, whatever number we're on, I would have been
Three, it
so
would technically be
disappointed.
three.
Apparently, the game has been in development for 3.5 years, which makes sense because I think Infamous Second Son came out 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like as far as release date, we don't hear anything. But I mean,
Mhm.
like if you've been working on this for 3.5 years, I could realistically see this dropping like late next year. But this is probably a 2019 release. Like,
Yeah, let's be real. I'm thinking
yeah, let's be
2019.
real. Hopefully, we see some footage at the PlayStation
Experience.
PSX, PlayStation Experience. But I'm not gonna hold my breath because once again, this is probably a 2019 release, and you're probably gonna spend PSX focusing on the 2018 games.
Right.
Did you have anything else to add?
No, that's pretty much it. Looks cool. Happy for Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
What else do you want to talk about?
Speaking of 2018 games, we got a new trailer for Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
They showed some new area with a bunch of like really nasty looking monsters.
Mhm.
But they also announced that Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn
Mhm.
is going to be a skin, obviously exclusively to the PlayStation version of Monster Hunter. So yeah, it's a skin that you could get. You can get a skin for your character, and you can also get a skin for your little fox thingy, or who's it? Whatever those things are called.
The Palicos. I also want to say about that costume is I was really impressed, and this is why it makes me excited for next gen Monster Hunter, is that the 3DS games had like crossover costumes, but a lot of them felt like stapled on to like the character model. So they didn't really it looked like essentially the Monster Hunter model was wearing a 3DS costume of like Link's costume or so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
So it always looked kind of weird. So this looks really cool because like the model looks pretty damn authentic to what Aloy looks like in Horizon Zero Dawn. So that was really cool. I want to talk about a little bit about some other Monster Hunter news. One friggin' open beta, December 9th. Hell yeah!
Open beta. You need to have PlayStation Plus to get into it. But
there's a reason for you to get back into PlayStation Plus, my friend.
Yeah. Because that was what I was when I was talking about this earlier. I was like, first of all, I was thinking about getting of rebuying my PlayStation Plus in December because of the Overwatch Christmas events. Then they announced this, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm definitely buying PlayStation Plus in December. Because at the very least, I can try the game. I was going to be from the December 9th to December 12th. That's 4 days. I can play the game, get a decent feel for it, and then see if I like the game or if you know, like, it's just not for me.
This is one of those things where I really hope this demo is good. And from what I could hear, there's going to be... So how it's going to work, and this is how most Monster Hunter demos work, so I'll explain to you how this demo's going to work. Excuse me. So you're going to get, essentially... It cuts out a lot of the grinding, which is a staple of Monster Hunter, and basically you select like a preset of characters. Do you want to pick this character that has this set of armor and this weapon? Right? So it just gives you a bunch of preset equipment that you can choose from so that you can kind of practice or like try out different weapon types, different armor classes, different styles of play. You'll have 3 different monsters to fight. I think it's 2 new ones and 1 old. Well, one of them would be still new to you, but it's a classic for the vets. It's the Baroth. So that is super awesome. And it was funny, I found some really intriguing information, and I kind of wish Breath of the Wild did this. So this is a really weird thing about this Monster Hunter game, is this Monster Hunter game has voice acting in it, right?
Yeah.
And this is the first for the Monster Hunter series. So people were like baffled when they saw like English voice acting in like cutscenes and stuff like that. They were like, wait, what? So I've talked about before, I don't know if it's going to be good. It's either going to be good, decent, or really, really bad, right? I don't think there's... So you know what I mean? Like, that's why I was like, I don't know how to feel about it, but, you know, at least they're trying something new, right? Yeah. So apparently... There was, like, the creators of this game went so far their way to go, okay, we know that there are people who may not want voice acting in this game. They prefer the sort of fake talk from the previous games.
Yeah.
So we are going to give you an option to turn that on. So if you don't want any voice acting at all, and would rather have, like, the fake language kind of like Simglish kind of talking that the Monster Hunter has had for most of their games, you can turn that on if you want to. So that's a really, really cool feature that I kind of wish Breath of the Wild had. Because as much as I thought Breath of the Wild's voice acting was okay, I would have probably hit that button just to bring it back to more a classic Zelda feel. So that's a really, really cool thing I just wanted to mention.
Yeah. Okay. That's actually a good, an interesting, little thing that they're adding. But yeah, yeah. All in all, Monster Hunter looking good. We're
Mm-hmm.
getting an alloy skin, and here's the thing, because I recently watched an interview where they were talking about how there's gonna be armors and then there's gonna be like skins, right? And
Right.
after they use a specific word for them, but whatever, we'll just go with skins for now. And the skins you can wear on top of any armor, and it doesn't change the stats of that armor.
Yeah.
There's like a pre-order samurai skin that you can get. That one, it's like it's so you can wear it the whole game, right? You don't have to
Yeah.
like give it up when you get like more upgraded armor, which is like games like this that I've always had like promotional skins. That's one issue that they usually have, is that the promotional skin is like a level 20 thing. So by the time you're level 50, you're like, well, this skin is useless.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that has been a constant issue in Monster Hunter, is that they've had all of these different armor types, some of which look super, super cool, but then it's like, well, they're not effective, or like, they're not worth using. There's better gear that you can get down the road. So this is a great compromise in which it's like, if I have a cool armor set that I like that samurai one, but I want the stats of like the Baroff armor, I can still have that appearance, but have the status and all the little buffs and so on and so forth. So that's
Yeah.
really,
Doesn't
really
matter
cool.
how good you look when Rathalos is kicking the shit out
Yeah,
of you.
kicking the shit.
So
Oh man, I want you to experience that firsthand, like Raphalos' might coming down. Oh man, it's gonna be great. Other things that got announced. Spider-Man. The Marvel Spider-Man game got shown off at this little
yes.
event, and it looked pretty
Yeah.
good. I think it looked
It
pretty
looks
good.
cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's coming in 2018, so that's confirmed. They showed a little bit of gameplay of him playing as the player playing as Mary Jane, which makes me very, very uncomfortable. I always hate when games do this. I always hate when games do this.
What in
And
particular?
what?
What in particular about that?
Just that, okay, so they give you this really cool, powerful character. Like even when The Witcher did this, I hated it. They give you this really cool, powerful character, and then midway through the game, they're like, okay, here, play this other character who's much weaker. I hated it when Onimusha did it. I hated it when The Witcher did it, and I have no doubt I'm going to hate it even more here. Because in those two games,
sorry, keep going. I'm just curious.
yeah, because in those two games, they let you switch to a character who just played different. They weren't necessarily weaker, they were just different.
Okay.
In this, you're going to be playing as MJ in a stealth sequence. God in heaven. Stealth? Man, when are these developers going to give up on stealth in games that aren't stealth games? It just never works. It's just never works. They're like, oh yeah, you have the option to play stealth, but then the stealth is like poorly designed and the guy, yeah.
I
Anyway.
mean, granted, like Insomniac, I've played a bunch of Ratchet and Clank games, and there's stealth sections in there. They have, like, Ratchet and Clank being an action game still has some stealth sections to it.
Oh yeah, it's true. So it's an Insomniac game.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up. Because I also hated when they forced you to play Clank in Ratchet and Clank. So,
Really? I never had
I
I never had a
hated
problem with that. Like, I can understand your frustration, but I never had that feeling
okay,
realistically.
Giant Clank, I was fine with.
Well,
But
yo,
yeah,
okay, is it just because you want to be super strong and big all the time? Fuck, I don't want to be a super small robot. This is bullshit, man.
well, yeah, that was I started off my statement with saying I hate when they give you a really, really powerful character and then they're like,
I hate mixing things up. It's the worst. It's the absolute worst.
It's like, okay, yeah, we give you this powerful character. Oh, you like playing that powerful character? Great. Play this shitty, weak version.
Well, what if I like Clank more than Ratchet? Have you ever thought about that?
Oh my god. Anyway, so yeah, you can play as Mary Jane. Tanner is excited at the prospect of playing.
Honestly, I like the idea of variety, because the only problem I have with these kinds of action games is that it gets really tiring when you're doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question. You like variety, right?
I like variety. Yes, I do.
Okay, so say what's a meal that you really enjoy eating?
Fries.
Fries. Okay,
Okay.
so say you have fries on Monday, you have fries on Tuesday, you have fries on Wednesday, right? Then on Thursday you're like, gosh, I'm so tired of these fries. I'd like some variety. so that I bring you a big bowl of shit. You know, would you like that? Would you
Now
be like, oh,
you
wow,
now you are
you know?
preferencing. Okay, now this is the thing. You are preferencing the fact that the switching to Clank. Let's do the Ratchet and Clank example. You're preferencing that switching to Clank is automatically shit. Whereas what is actually happening is that the guy is giving me fries and then he's giving me some cooked like carrots, right? That's what he's giving me. Right? And it's like, oh, I don't have cooked carrots all the time, but I'll try this. And then I end up enjoying it. Is it as good as the fries? No. But I still enjoyed it. I like the variety. You were just like flat out making the example fit your prerogative. I love how it's like, wait, are we still talking about Paris Games Week anymore?
So yeah, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man looks cool.
Spider-Man looks cool. It's coming in 2018. It's confirmed we'll be playing as Mary Jane and Spider-Man. No confirmation if we'll be able to play as Miles Morales, but he's definitely in the game.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, we don't have a release date. It's just 2018. We don't even have a release window, like early or late or anything. So if I had to guess, I'd say like mid, like June, July type 2018. But I'm just, pulling numbers out my ass right now. So
exactly.
don't take that to heart. But yeah, to go from one PlayStation exclusive to another one, we got another trailer for Detroit. Worst name ever.
Yep. Tell the trailer. Sorry.
This is coming in spring 2018. You know something really funny about Detroit is that like we've been calling it by this name for so long that I was trying to look the game up and I looked up Detroit and I was like, I actually can't remember what the tagline of what the second part.
Because we just keep calling it Detroit worst name ever. It's become human.
Yeah. So they showed this trailer with this like robot who's in the house with this girl and some shit goes down and the dad, who's obviously a dirtbag, kills the daughter and then kills the robot, and then they did the whole things could have been so different. And I really like these trailers. They've done it with the Jesse Williams thing, with the robot police officer thing, and they did it with this, and it's really cool. Here's my thing with Detroit. Right. If they can deliver on what they are promising, this game is going to be really, really good. I feel like this is going to be a very good game.
Are you excited
if they can deliver on these promises of like branching stories and all that stuff? That's a big if, because I'm yet to play a single game that has delivered on that promise. So
I have played many of David Cage's video games, and I can tell you for a fact that it. Okay, so let me try. This is where I have to rein myself in, which is apparently something that there was one of my favorite interviews is that there was an interview with Quantic Dream in which they apparently hired writers to help rein David Cage in because David Cage has such ridiculous, crazy ideas that sometimes he needs someone to say no. Right? And that's the funniest fucking thing in the world to me because it's so true. Especially when you play through Beyond Two Souls and you realize how much of a fucking clusterfuck that game is.
That game is pretty.
It's a fucking clusterfuck. So this is the thing that I like. I agree with you. I like that they're showing the multiple different how things could have been different, right? And I like the style of this particular game because personally I think his best game is Heavy Rain. I think it's the most cohesive of the games that he has worked on. Now, the thing that worries me a bit is that we are getting so many different characters, like different playable characters and different perspectives, and I'm a little bit worried because the more complicated his stories are, the worse they become. Yeah. And I'm a little bit worried that this story is going to have so many different perspectives that it's going to be very hard to follow, and it's going to be out of order. And if it's out of order, I'm going to get fucking pissed, because that's the biggest thing that I hated about Beyond Two Souls. However, I will say this. In the trailer, I will admit, I actually did have a little bit of an emotional connection with because I've talked about one of the biggest fears of mine. So if a character dies, that's one thing, right? Yeah. The character loses an arm. That is another thing. But if a character's existence is deleted, that scares me. And they were talking about, like, I could only imagine, like, imagine it like this is something that a lot of people in real life have to deal with some like Alzheimer's, right? Like
Yeah.
having to see someone who you know for your entire life, and then the next day
They
it's
don't
like
remember
they don't
you.
remember you, and it's almost like that person you knew is completely gone. That shit scares me. That shit scares me more than anything in this world. So when they were playing with the idea that the kid is like, I'm sure we were best friends, right? The robot's talking to the kid. I'm sure we were the best of friends, and she just doesn't know how to respond because she essentially the person that she grew up with and cared about has been deleted and reset.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. That's I just before we go too far from that point you brought up, the point about the multiple characters.
mhm.
I'm just I see where you're coming from, but I'm gonna take a different angle with it and say that the fact that there's multiple different characters, I think allows for him to deliver on this promise, right? Because
Mhm.
part of the reason why branching paths are so difficult to do in video games, right, is
Mhm.
that okay? So you start the game with Geralt of Rivia, right?
Right.
Yeah, like every choice has a consequence. Well, like that's not true because we know at the end of the game we're going to be playing Geralt of Rivia, so there's no choice we're going to make that's going to have him
That's
get
going to
killed
kill.
before the
Yeah.
end of the game.
Yeah.
You get what I mean, right?
I get what you
But
mean.
then if it's like five different, and then the other issue is that like having the ripple effect last for the entire like 30-hour game, right? Is
Mhm.
brutal. Like it's one of those things when developers don't deliver on it, I'm disappointed, but I'm not even mad because I understand how difficult it is. But when you have six small stories, right, then
Right.
it's easy to deliver on this promise of how the story always of how there's so many different ways you can take the story. The smaller the story is, the easier it is to make
Mhm.
your choices matter. And then when you have so many characters, then you can also have like in correct me if I'm wrong. I don't like with no spoilers. In Heavy Rain, some of the characters can't die, right?
Yes, and there are some relatively interesting ways that those characters can die, right? Now,
Yeah.
that also creates it's an interesting discussion. Won't get into it because we could talk about it for hours. Is that when you're writing a story and the idea of a character that you've built your story around can just die randomly at a certain point, can make the whole experience a little bit weird. Like for example, there is a death in Heavy Rain that it is hilarious. It is hilarious because it is essentially one of your characters is being basically held over in a conveyor belt, and there's this freaking like Austin Powers death machine that is just there, and the guy who's holding you over the thing is just laughing maniacally like a friggin' like cartoon villain, and then if you fail to get out of the thing, you drop in and you have a death scream, and he just continues laughing the entire time, and then that character is no longer part of the story. Um, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like, and to be fair, I think how Heavy Rain did it was pretty decent overall. But what I will agree with you absolutely is that if this story is simple, then I can see this working quite well. This is
Yeah.
one of those weird scenarios where I would actually prefer a relatively more simple story than a super complicated one. You know? Because I know that David Cage can't write a good complicated story. He can't. I have seen him try and try and try and fail and fail and fail. And it's hilarious because when you look at Heavy Rain, there is a specific scene that was deleted, like flat out deleted before launch of the game because it made the story way too complicated. And because of that scene being deleted, the story was a little bit more cohesive. So, I like that being said, I still thought the trailer was good. Game definitely looks really good graphic wise.
Oh yeah.
But we will have to see. I hope. Come on, David. You know, you've burned me so many times. Maybe you've seen the light. Maybe someone has finally slapped you across the face and said, "Just simplify it, you freaking moron." So, hopefully we see something good out of this.
Yeah.
But what else? What else we got?
Yeah, so the other things that they touched on, so they had like a quick like reel of their third-party games, which I'm glad that they've realized no one wants to watch gameplay demos of games that you can play on other consoles, right?
Right.
No one wants to watch like 15-minute gameplay demos for like another Call of Duty. So I'm glad they've learned that, and they just like ran through the trailers. They had a Destiny trailer announcing some expansion pack. They had a World of whatever the new Call of Duty is called trailer.
World War II.
Then they had a Star Wars Battlefront trailer. Then they announced this new game on Rush. It's like it's by the. So when Sony pretty much closed down Evolution Studios, the studio behind Drive Club,
right.
They helped. I can't remember if they helped them or if this just happened, but I believe it was an amicable split to an extent, and I think they helped them get jobs with Codemaster. With whatever the case may be, a lot of the people who worked at Evolution Studios are working at Codemaster now. So
right.
On Rush is practically a brand new MotorStorm. It's like MotorStorm under a new name, which is cool. You know, like we said like 2-3 podcasts ago, Jason asked if we thought that the racing genre was arcade racing genre was underrepresented, and I said hell to the yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, we have a new arcade racer on Rush from some of the dudes who brought us MotorStorm. I'm excited to see more gameplay of this. It was a very, very short trailer with like dirt bikes and ATVs, and they had some nitros in there. So
right.
I'm excited to see more. Obviously, I prefer a street racer. That's my favorite type of arcade racer, but I'm willing to give this a shot because I'm desperate and, you know.
Yeah. Gotta be honest.
Yeah. Other than that, they showed a bunch of a little bit more of their first-party stuff. God of War, they showed a new gameplay trailer for God of War. It's also coming in 2018. We didn't get a specific date, but I think they called it like early 2018. Here's the weird thing about this game.
Mm-hmm.
The gameplay trailers I've watched have not excited me for this game at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, I still love the setting. I'm still so happy that they went with this setting, but the gameplay, like the actual combat, just looks. I don't know.
It looks well. I mean, like, I think the gameplay looks fine. Like, I like the idea. It looks fine. It's not like, whoa, that was amazing. I will say this: I like the idea of you throwing that freaking axe and it coming back to you like a boomerang. Like, I think that is cool. I think that is overall pretty cool. The thing that I'm actually worried about, and I'm very curious what you think about this, is that I'm actually starting to turn around a bit on the kid. I'm actually getting a little bit worried because I'm seeing sequences where he's shouting, "No, look out!" You know, and it's like, it's getting dangerously close to, man, now this is pod racing, you know? And I'm getting a little bit worried that he might be too childish if he's gonna be constantly yammering in the background while you're walking around in this game with like gods and demons and stuff like that. Like, again, I understand what they're kind of going for. It's meant to be like a father-son story, but
Last of Us,
like in Last of Us. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, the thing about Ellie is that she would make the quip from time to time, but she wasn't always doing it, right? Now, in every single trailer I've been seeing, this kid has been yammering in the background, at least the gameplay ones, right? So I really hope it's one of those things where he's a yammering little shit in the beginning, but over time he stops, you know, being a little shit. Yeah, and that's where I'm a little bit like, but no, I do get what you mean, where it's like, so far I like the setting a lot, but yeah, the gameplay, I haven't seen anything to really wow me yet, you know?
Yeah, the gameplay looks very, what's that word I'm looking for? It looks like they just did it because they're like, okay, well, we have to have gameplay in here, so they just put it in, right? It seems so, like, by the numbers. Just like, there's nothing I've seen in the gameplay that was like, yo, I want to play this game. You know, there's literally nothing I've seen that I'm like, yo, I want to do that. To give you even the most basic example, you look at Ghost of Tsushima, right? We haven't even seen gameplay, but just the idea of playing like a samurai and like trying to sneak into this place and doing open world and stealth. That's something that hasn't been mixed a lot. I'm like, yo, I want to try that, right? But I'm watching this God of War gameplay and it just looks so straightforward. Like there's nothing it's doing that another game hasn't done and done much better. In regards to the kid though, he didn't bother me as much.
It's interesting. This is the flip. This is the flip
I mean,
for sure.
I didn't hate him. I didn't like him. He was plain. He was very plain and straightforward. The one thing that I will note is that the only games I played that I remember that had companions that stuck with you the entire game were BioShock 3 and The Last of Us, and I love both games. So I'm gonna give this game the benefit of the doubt in that regard. Plus, I imagine they're not going to. I mean, this is still God of War, right? This is still the game with with the dude who's about to as happy as a pit viper, right? So I don't imagine they're gonna add like quips. He's gonna be like quipping the whole time or anything.
No, I don't think so. And I think it's one of the well, here's the thing. Like I think kid characters are really hard to write well. I think kid characters are very difficult to write well because a lot of times kids can be annoying. Like it's hard to make likable kids. Like, as much as I will say this is like Clementine is a strong kid character. Like
I like him in Clementine.
So that's my only worry. I'm sure it will be fine, but I don't know, something about that particular clip made me go, I don't know. We'll have to see. But you know what I was super happy to see? Fucking Shadow of the Colossus. Man.
That looks really good. So we got a release date. It's coming on the 6th of February.
Jesus, that close?
Yeah, that close. Just a quick question. God. That monster that they showed him fighting, that's not new, right?
No, that's not new. The funny thing about that, it's actually one of the last Colossus you fight in that game. So I thought that was weird. Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's a 2000 that game came out in 2006. Jesus.
Yeah, it's a PS2 game, so like you've the what's that word? The statute of limitations on spoilers
we're past.
But yeah, when I saw the foresty area that he was walking through, I was like, did they add a new area to this game? Because I don't remember anything looking like this. But no, it just turns out that the graphics are just so much better. It looks like a brand new area. The game looks amazing. One thing I have heard though is that they didn't fix the controls, and I'm like, you idiots! That should have been the first thing you fixed when you were remaking this game. Those controls were terrible.
Yeah. But, I mean, I got used to them, realistically.
Yeah, but then, like, you could say the same thing about being boiled alive, right?
Well, this is where we differ. It's like, for example, I fucking love Remake. I loved Resident Evil Remake, and it was difficult for me to get used to how that game's setup control was with the different the tank controls, essentially, right? But I got used to the tank controls, and then when I got over that, which didn't take me too long, I fucking love that game. I think the game's a freaking classic. So, yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate, but we'll have to see. Honestly, I'm buying the game regardless. It's one of my favorite games I've ever played.
I mean, for me, I'm not saying that you can't get used to it, because, I mean, I got used to it on the regular version, right? I got used to it, and, I enjoyed the game up until the point I stopped playing it. But at the end of the day, if I'm given a choice between Shadow of the Colossus controls and actual controls, I would pick actual controls. So
that's fine. Like I said, I'm not gonna argue that. I'm not gonna argue that. Like, sure, the controls could definitely be tweaked and changed around. But like I said, it never personally bothered me. You know what's actually bothering me is that these games are coming. Oh God, my wallet's gonna get destroyed again. Fuck.
Yeah, so this, if it's coming out, it's going to be, full price in February, then I'm definitely not going to buy it, no doubt. If it comes out, it's, $40 or something like that, I might pick it up. Probably not, because, actually, February 6th, that's, a week after Dragon Ball, and, so I'm definitely not buying this at launch, that's for sure. Zero doubts in my mind.
God damn it. Those 3 games are coming out at the same time. Why must you do this?
You've beaten Shadow of the Colossus 4 times now. You don't really have to buy it again, do you?
You realize who you're talking to, right?
This is true. I'm talking to Tanner, the guy who has money for days.
I don't really have money for days. I just spend my money very poorly.
He's like, if I don't buy this game for us, I'm going to burn the money. So I might as well just use it on.
It's either I'm going to be spending on this, or I'm going to be spending the equal amount on paints for Warhammer. So either way. But anyway, looks cool. I'm excited. The last thing that they showed at the event was The Last of Us 2. They showed us a cutscene from the game, and boy, was this cutscene dark.
Yeah, it's funny because he started and they were like, "Oh, we got some new gameplay from like a PlayStation exclusive that you're all excited about." And the trailer started, I was like, "Shit, you better not be Days Gone." Then I saw the two people dragging someone. I was like, "Okay, it's probably Last of Us."
Right.
And then like that right there, it like just shows you everything that I dislike about that Days Gone game. But I digress. We'll save that for another podcast.
Yeah.
This was a very difficult trailer to watch. It was very violent, and for me, the thing that I didn't like about this trailer was just not that it's. I didn't like the violence didn't bother me. Okay, well. It was difficult to watch because I'm a human being, and seeing a girl get a hammer taken to her arm is like I'm just never going to enjoy watching that. But
it's not even that. It's the terminology. It's just like clip her wings. It's like whoa.
Firefly. I think that's why. Though,
I think that's I think she's a firefly, and
probably firefly.
You know what the part that got me? It was the part where one of the characters is still on the noose hanging, and then after everything is calmed down, she just walks by her and goes to help the other person, and I was like, wow.
I actually didn't even notice that.
I
was just like, okay, so this gives us a little hint about the world that we're going to be playing in the game. And to be completely honest, this got me a lot more excited for this game than the original trailer. Because the reason why I've said I loved The Last of Us. You know, I criticized Naughty Dog for Uncharted. I've never liked those games, but I love The Last of Us. But the reason why I was not excited when they announced the sequel was because I felt like, unlike Gears of War. The first Gears of War, I played it, and then I was like, okay, this game, it was a fun game, but there's still room for improvement, right? So when they announced Gears of War 2, and Gears of War 2 fixed a bunch of the issues I had, I was excited for that, right? But with The Last of Us, I was like, this is a very, very, I have nothing to add. I love this game. I love the story. I like where the story ended, so I'm good. So then when they were like, oh, there's a sequel, I'm like, eek.
Yeah, I know.
Just treading over old ground sequels that just redoes what the first game did. But looking at this trailer, it did get me intrigued in the story a bit. We'll see. I'm still iffy about, about a sequel to that game, but we'll see. The trailer did get me interested in the story. I wish they'd shown us gameplay.
It was funny. It was funny because, like, at the end, it clearly cuts off where the gameplay's about to start. Although I will say that what they might be doing is they might be saving gameplay for PlayStation Experience because the events are so close.
Yeah, which would make sense.
Do you want to hear a theory that I find very interesting about this? So they're talking about fireflies, and there's that girl that super buff, and she's the one that's getting hanged in the trailer.
That's Ellie, isn't it?
No, it isn't. It isn't Ellie. It isn't Ellie at all. But it looks a lot like her. So what a lot of people are suspecting is that this game is going to have two perspectives. It's going to have the future perspective of Joel and Ellie in their current state of affairs, and it's going to actually have the past perspective of Ellie's mother. And we're going to see her journey as far as how she traveled with the fireflies and so on and so forth. I could be completely wrong. And it could be just a completely new character. But one of the things I found was really ballsy about that is that it's interesting that the second trailer, Joel and Ellie aren't even there. Like, just not even present. It's just completely new characters, completely new set of people, and it's just tone. It's just setting up tone. It's just setting up the atmosphere that the game is trying to set you up for. And although it was really funny because it's such a dark and violent trailer, and then like it ends, and then the guy goes, "Hey, Last of Us! Hey, are you guys excited?" And everyone in the audience is like, "Woof." But honestly, I thought it was a really, really cool trailer. I do hope that at the very least we get to see gameplay and PlayStation Experience, because I want to see what they've kept and maybe what they've changed or what they've added. Like that's where I'm really curious about. But that was Paris Games Week in a nutshell. So I guess, do you want to give our final thoughts, or do you want to just jump into question of the day?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good show. Some people were disappointed, and I was like, well, if you went in there expecting them to like announce everything, then no offense, but I don't think you're very realistic. Because because for me, I'm like, Paris Games Week is like a month before PlayStation Experience, so I'm not even sure why they show up to this, but I thought it was pretty good. It was a nice balance. There was a little bit of everything. They had two new IPs, one that was exclusive in Shadow of Ghost of Tetsuma.
Oh, Ghost of Tetsuma, yeah.
And then Onrush, which is like multi-platform, they showed their third-party stuff. They showed all their exclusives. They showed gameplay of practically everything except for Days Gone, and I can live with that. They showed gameplay of practically everything that does, and they gave us like release windows for practically everything. They showed DLC for Horizon. They announced like some exclusive stuff for Monster Hunter. All in all, man, like as long as you went in there with like realistic expectations and you didn't come, because I was watching Maximilian, he was doing a reaction to it, and at the end he was like, "Oh, I'm disappointed. No Final Fantasy VII footage. No Soul Calibur 6." I'm like, Soul Calibur 6. This guy lives in his own world. Soul Calibur 6.
Like, dude, like at this point, we would be blessed with the idea of any Final Fantasy VII remake footage, because like I'm at the point with that is that, okay, here's the thing: we're not gonna get Final Fantasy VII footage until Kingdom Hearts 3 is out. That is when we're gonna get it, because it's like that game is so far in development. But that, I digress. Honestly, I come into Paris with like very little expectations, because it's like I know that the big events are like E3, the PlayStation Experience, so on and so forth. So when I go into Paris, I'm kind of like, oh, that's kind of neat that they showed that. Oh, wow, like I didn't expect to see Shadow of the Colossus. I didn't even expect to see the Last of Us, trailer. Last of Us 2 trailer. So I was pleasantly surprised, and I think overall they showed off some strong stuff. There was a good variety of first party and indie and so on and so forth. So overall, I think I was happy. I was definitely happy with what I got. But before we wrap things up, we got a question of the day from the lovely J Streets.
J Streets.
And Fawaz, what is the question of the day?
How would you boost Marvel Infinite sales? Also, would you like to see a re-release similar to Ultimate Marvel? So for the second part, I answered this when they announced Street Fighter 5 Arcade Edition with a resounding hell yeah. I would buy an Ultimate version of Marvel, if it had like Monster Hunter and Sigma, Black Panther, Venom, and whoever else comes out in season 2 of the DLC. If it had like a UI overhaul that didn't look like it was put together at a deadline, and if they tweaked some of the graphics I've come to terms with. The game is going to look like shit for the entirety of its life. You're never going to convince me that a developer is going to release a patch that makes the game. It might make the game look less like shit, but that's just lipstick. They
could. What was that one game? King of Fighters.
King of Fighters, yeah, they improved the graphics, but the game still does not look good.
Well, I mean, like, hey, I think that's better than nothing, and I think it's sorely needed.
I've come to terms with the fact that the game is always going to look off to me, right? So that's fine. But if you released it, if like 2 years down the line they released a version of the game, it was cheaper, it had like a bunch of extra characters, so the roster didn't feel so lazy. It's like redid the UI. Then I could live with no X-Men, and I could live with all the characters looking awful. How would I boost Marvel Infinite sales? Well, I would not. So I'm guessing he means after the fact. Like, what would I do now to fix Marvel? Because I was like,
let's say the example is like, okay, Marvel has come out, the sales don't look as good as Capcom wants it, right? What can you do at this point in the game? What can you add to the game? What can you bring to the community? What can you do to make Marvel seem a lot more appealing to people who either don't know, don't feel that great about it, are unsure, or just in a sour mood about the whole game? Like, how do you change that around? What would be something to do?
Other than like free content, I can't think of anything really.
Maybe maps. Maybe just free stages. That would be interesting.
I don't give it that. Okay, because I'm just doing it from like my point of view, right?
Okay,
what can they do to make me buy the game, right? Okay. And other than here are your X-Men, and they're going to be free. There's nothing else. Like, for me, there's nothing else that they can do to make me buy the base version of this game. Because here's the thing. If I buy the base version of this game, I'm not just buying that. I'm going to end up buying the season pass because I want to play Monster Hunter. I think she looks awesome. I think Sigma looks cool, and I think what's her name? One of the remaining three, Black Widow, Venom, or Winter Soldier, can end up being like an interesting character, right?
Right.
So if I buy the core game, I'm going to buy the season pass, and I'm not giving Capcom that much money.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Besides, you're saving that for the real game, Monster Hunter.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right. I'm not giving Capcom that much money, not for this game. So for me, other than them, if they had come out and they were like, yo, this Monster Hunter is going to be free, I might have bought the game. Like out the gate, I might have bought the game. Even if they were like, she's only going, this first couple characters are only going to be free for a period of time. If they release these 6 and then the next 6 are like,
if they you know what, you bring up a good point. If they did the Skullgirls thing, that would have been awesome. You know what, and that's what Skullgirls did. Skullgirls had DLC characters come out for the base game that were free for a couple months, and then you had to pay for them. So it gave you the initiative to come, I should pick up this game and pick up the free DLC, right?
Guilty Gear did the same thing. Elphelt was free for like the first month, and then you had to pay for her. Or if they did this, they released the first 6 characters, and then they're like, okay, the next 6. Let's say the next 6 are. Someone even asked me this. Okay, so let's say, forget X-Men. Let's be realistic here. Forget X-Men. Okay. Let's say the next 6 are Hela, whatever her name is from the new Thor movie.
Right.
Because I'm like, okay, cool. You guys want to suck off the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then at least pick the characters that look interesting, right? So let's say the next 6 are Hela. Let's say She-Hulk, because why the hell did She-Hulk not make it into this goddamn game? Mm-hmm. And let's say Loki, whatever. 2 characters from Thor, whatever. Let's say Hela, She-Hulk, and Loki. And let's say the Capcom side is Amaterasu, Ashura from Ashura's Wrath, and Sea Viper, whatever.
Sea Viper, yeah, sure.
So let's say it's those 6, and they're like these characters are going to be free. I'd probably buy the game.
Yeah, that would be definitely a way to do it for sure.
I'd probably buy the game because I'm like, okay, that's a show of good faith right there. That you guys are like that. Okay, we shot the bed because let's look at another game that launched poorly and then bounced back. Final Fantasy 14, right? When the game launched, they gave the people who bought they gave early adopters so much free stuff. They made the first year of the game completely free. There was a bunch of other things that they did that I can't remember off the top of my head. So like, if Capcom wants to make me trust them again, then they're going to have to do a show of good faith.
Yeah.
Something, be like that, okay, here are these characters, and we're going to give them for free. If, maybe not even characters, like you said. Maybe even just like costumes. Stages, no. You're not going to get me with stages.
I'm just saying,
I'm
like,
not a $2 whore.
I'm just saying that would be something. Like, okay, let's say Capcom's like, well, we can't do it because there's so much that goes into the the characters and so on. So much money has to be spent to make those characters, or so on and so forth. But it's like, okay, maybe what about stages? Maybe release a free patch of just different color hues for character skins, like maybe do that. And that's cheap stuff that you can do for free. Like, exactly. Like Monster Hunter's a given. Like, you could change some of her armor, like, colors. Like, just easily just take the red and change it to a green, change it to a yellow, change it to a blue, like, just you could easily do that. How I would boost the Marvel sales is that you are doing something. This is the best thing that's about Marvel, in my opinion, at the moment. You need to push that Battle of the Stones more. You need to push that hard, because Battle of the Stones kicks ass. Everything about
trash.
I think Battle of the Stones is awesome. I think it's the best. It's stupid, and it's not for the players. It's for the spectation. It's awesome. The idea of being in a tournament in which someone can pull out a stone and go like, nope, I didn't lose, is the best.
Okay,
it's
so
the
for those
best.
that don't know, the Battle of the Stones is this tournament that Capcom is having, where there's going to be 6 tournaments over the course of the season, and the winner of each tournament gets a different Infinity Stone, and each stone has a different ability. So, for example, there's the Power Stone. What the Power Stone does is that it lets you get 1 free combo on your opponent, so you can activate it at any point during the tournament, and then your opponent just has to stand still and let you get a free combo on them. There are a couple other stones that do a bunch of other things that I can't remember, but the one stone that I'm like, that okay, you dudes have gone a little too far here, is the Mind Stone. The Mind Stone lets you choose your opponent's team and their stone. So like it's practically a free win. It's
Okay.
practically a free
Okay.
win.
But
Because you just
it's a free win in the sense where it's like, oh, you could pick who they're not good with. But could you imagine how fucking awesome it would be if they pick those characters and then it's like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And then they just start to smile and go, that's my secret team. And then they proceed to win anyway. That would be the best. That would be the best thing ever.
I don't care if Ryu and what's another really
Frank West.
Frank West is your secret team. Like you are going to lose. If we are at the same level of skill and I pick Ryu, Frank West, and the Mind Stone for you, you're about to get bodied. But no, you're right. That would be pretty hype. If like someone activated the Mind Stone, a Canadian actually won the Mind Stone, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Record.
Yeah, I think it Timo. Timo.
If he activates the Mind Stone, picks like Ryu, Frank West with the Mind Stone, ironically enough, for his opponent, and the opponent wins that match, that'd be pretty hype. But that's probably not what's going to happen. What's probably going to happen is that he's going to pick that team, and then the person is going to proceed to get perfected.
Yeah.
Double perfected, in fact.
To be like, here's the thing. For me, it's that makes the gimmick of this tournament, like if you want to have a full like, okay, there's a certain set of rules, it's basic, it's by the number, sure, that's perfectly fine, but I like this gimmick a lot. I think this gimmick is ridiculous and it's entertaining. It's entertaining. It's intriguing to me. It's the most interesting thing that Marvel has done, in my opinion, since launch. So I would say I like this idea. I understand why a lot of maybe more purists would hate this idea a lot because it's really stupid and it's unbalanced and it's broken from a fair tournament perspective. But for the spectator, it's gonna be great to watch them pull stones out, seeing them like move in brackets and stuff like that. I think there's one that allows you to move into a different bracket or something like that.
Like, are you listening to this?
I know, but like you're freaking out and going like, this is ridiculous, and I'm like, yeah, this is ridiculous, and I've got the biggest smile on my face.
I mean, it's like you're in a basketball tournament and they give you a stone and you're like, at any point you can activate this stone and you can make the other team stop playing.
You know what, Fawaz? I'd probably watch a lot more basketball if that was a gimmick. I'm not gonna lie. If there were games in which, oh no, he pulled out the reality stone, everybody stand still, and they just kind of like shimmy through the bodies and just slam dunk with all like just no effort at all, I would pay good money to see that game.
Anyway, in addition to that, J Street also has a request of the day. I thought this would be a good time to highlight this request because he asks us to highlight an independent or lesser-known developer the public should pay more attention to. And I want to use this chance to highlight Drinkbox Studios because those are the guys behind Guacamelee.
Right.
So first of all, they're Canadian. Actually, you know what's funny, Tanner? If you look at the bottom right of the Guacamelee trailer, you can see the Ontario.
It says Ontario. I saw that, and I was like, hey.
So yeah, they are a Canadian, Ontario-based game developing studio. Who, I mean, they've only made one game that I really like. This is actually a very, very bad example. 1 second, you answer, and I'll be right back.
Really? Because I was gonna say Drinkbox Studio because they're lesser known. Like Guacamelee is a good game and people know about it, but I still say Drinkbox because like I'm thinking of people who are like relatively unknown. Like Drinkbox isn't like a commonly talked about like company overall, so I don't mind that being my answer. Who do I want to say?
Okay. I have my answer now. My actual answer is going to be Clay Entertainment. Sorry. So Clay Entertainment is another Canadian video game developer. You might know them from games like Shank, Mark of the Ninja.
Oh, yeah.
There it is. Yeah, so they're based in Vancouver, BC. So they were the smart ones because they got the good weather in Canada. But they just first of all, their art style is very, very, very unique. Like you can look at all their games and outside of a few they all look outside of a few, they look very similar, right? They have a very, very cool, unique art style, and they never rest on their laurels. Like Shank and Shank 2, I think is the only time they've done a sequel. And that's not true. They also they released a bunch of stuff for Don't Starve, but like they mix it up. Like they have Shank, which was like a side-scrolling action game. Then they had Mark of the Ninja, which was a side-scrolling stealth game. Then they had Don't Starve, which was, I don't even know what these types of games are called, but
it's like survival game, I think.
Yeah. Then they have Invisible Ink, which is an isometric stealth game. Then now they have Griftlands, which I'm not even sure what this game is. It's like an RPG. Yes, it's like an RPG where everything is negotiable. So like they don't rest on their laurels. They mix it up. I love Mark of the Ninja. It was one of the last Xbox exclusives that I actually bought.
Right. Yeah.
It was a really, really fun game. My only regret was I never got to platinum it. Well, 1,000 in.
But yeah. Same difference.
Better. It was a really fun game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The art style, like I cannot like harp about the art style for these games any more than I do. Their games are beautiful and their games are unique, and like the reason, and this isn't taking anything from Drinkbox Studio. I think Drinkbox Studio is a very talented developer. The reason why I switched off them to Clay is because I only like one of Drinkbox Studio's games. Now I love that game. I love Guacamelee, but it's like that one time on that one podcast. That's when I realized that I love Platinum games, but I love them only because of Bayonetta. Because I've never played any of the other.
You never really played any of their other games, which I understand. I can understand that, where it's like, okay, these guys have a bigger list of games that you've seen, enjoyed, and can talk about. No, those are good choices. Honestly, I'd say those would probably be my answers too. To be honest, because it's like, a lot of the companies that I think that are indie developers, people already know about them. If I was to say the people who make like Binding of Isaac or something like that, they're a well-known company at this point. Like people know who they are. So I would say like, yeah, those are two good answers. I'd probably say Drinkbox in them as well. But a great question, great Jay Streets, and if you got a question for us, don't forget to leave it in the comment section. We'll make sure to answer it in the next podcast. And as always, this is your host, Room Liberty, and
Boaz Muhammad Yusuf.
I'll see you guys next time. Take care.